All right, Kenny Kim is here. Take two. We recorded a phenomenal 5 minutes, and we're having some technical difficulties. Um, but we're back, man. I know you're on your phone and everything, but thanks for hanging in tough there for me, my friend. I am phenomenally excited for this episode, man. I cannot wait for this fun little gimmick that we have planned. Thanks for joining the show, and happy Masters Week, buddy.
Always looking forward to Masters Week. This is our 3 weeks of the year where we get to really go all out, right? I mean, you gotta love it with Masters being our Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to it. This should be a fun little show. Even though I'm on a phone and I look sort of crooked right now, I apologize, but that's the only way I can get it to work. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
No problems whatsoever. I think the gimmick that we have planned, people will really enjoy and get some fun out of it. It's my, like I said, happy Masters Week. The Masters is actually in 10 days. It's not quite Masters Week yet, but it already feels like Masters Week. I mean, this has become a at least 10 to 15 day, maybe month long news cycle. As you mentioned, it's our biggest week of the year. And this is my first official Masters podcast on my own podcast. So I wanted to do something fun as a bit of an introduction into my Masters content for the year. And we're going to do a Masters draft. So essentially, you and I are going to go back and forth. We're going to draft 10 golfers each, but there's some criteria that both of us have to follow. I sent you the criteria ahead of time, but so the listeners know, on our 10-man rosters, we need to have two live players. Okay. So of your 10-man roster, two of your picks have to be live players. Okay. So a total of at least four live players are going to be drafted. We may end up drafting more than four live players, but you have to have two on your roster. You need one debutant. Okay. You need one guy that's a first timer. And Kenny, I can provide for you a list of like who I think are the best first timers. I wrote down a bunch of like the key main important debutantes. One former champion. Okay. That's an easy one. Uh, and one old. Okay. One guy over 40 years old. And I've got a list pulled up of some of the key olds on my big board as well. But those are kind of those are the main checkpoints that we have to hit. And I'm going to ask you kind of the big narrative question that's going to lead into our draft because I'm going to give you the first pick. And I have a feeling, Kenny, that you're going to be drafting one of Scotty or Rory first overall. And, as we were talking about a little bit before we went hot here, the narrative is developing that it's these two guys hovering above the rest of the field. It seems like narratively people agree. The results would back it up. The market backs it up. Okay. It's Scotty is now hovering around 5-1. Rory's around plus 650. And then you have a big jump before you start to get to the Colin, Ludwig, Rom range at 12, 14, 16 to 1. Is this the Rory Scotty Masters? Does this really feel like that to you, where these two players, it's going to be one of them, or are you a little bit more bullish on the field?
I mean, this past week in Houston, it definitely makes you believe that these are the two guys, right?
Yep.
I mean, the way Scotty has come back from the hand injury was rusty, wasn't playing his best, but slowly you've seen him gradually improve, and it looked like he was on the top of his game on Sunday in Houston. And then in that same Sunday, you have Rory, who is coming in on a Scotty like streak with wins all over the place, top fives everywhere in his last 20 events. I mean, these two are the marquee guys. There's really no other golfer that's no other golfers that's really moved the needle for the Masters other than these two. I mean, Oberg hasn't, earlier in the year, yes, but now he sort of hasn't really had some high finishes here recently. And you think about it, But the only issue is we've had these narratives as we've gotten into the Masters in previous years, and a lot of the times they don't pan out, right?
Yeah.
I would say most of the time they don't pan out, and it's not the narrative. It's because it's golf. There's so many variables, there's so many different things that can happen during the week, especially at a course like Augusta National. But everything's screaming Rory Scotty to me. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely going to be probably our first two picks.
So I'll give you the first pick here. We'll go snake draft. So we'll
Mhm.
go, you go first, and then I do the next two, and back and forth. And this will lead us into maybe talking a little bit more about which way we're leaning, in terms of like who we prefer personally between the two. But I'm putting the ball in your court, my friend. Lead us off here with your first pick in our 2025 Masters draft.
Okay, I love Rory. I think he can win. I think this is one of his best opportunities he's had. Probably the best or second best lead up form he's had coming in to the Masters in the last, what, 15 years, right?
Yeah, there's been only 2 other years, Kenny, and I wanna shout out Kyle, I think, for tweeting this stat. Kyle Porter, that is, of Normal Sport. But he's had, like, 2 similar years in strokes gained where he was hovering around a similar strokes gained baseline,
Hmm.
I believe in 2012 and 2015. But he didn't have the accolades or the trophies that were coming with it, right? He didn't have that players win and a signature event win as well that would maybe do a little bit more for his confidence in this year specifically in terms of like seeing the ball go through the hoop in big time events leading up to the Masters.
Yeah, and you think about the events that he's won, it's the players and the Amex, which aren't normally like something
Pebble.
that you Pebble, which
Yeah,
normally you wouldn't think are his courses, right?
correct.
But it seems like he's changed the way he plays, especially these big time events where he's not so gung ho and all about moving forward and hit the driver and whatever. He's actually thinking and Scottifying. I think he's even said this in interviews, where he's trying to be like Scotty when it comes to these situations. Miss in the right spot, be aggressive at the right times in events like these. And all of it's gearing up for him to do well at this Masters, but I'm going Scotty. All right. All right. All right. I can say all that about Rory. It seems like it's going to be the best. If you gave me the second pick, I would have taken Rory. Okay. Um, but since I got number one, I got to go Scotty. It seems like, like I said, he's gotten over the hand injury. Every week, it seems like he's gotten a little bit better. That Sunday at Houston was just amazing golf that he played. He's won this tournament twice. He doesn't. He misses in the right spots. He hits that little bit of a draw off the tee, which is always a great thing at Augusta. He knows that course super well. And he hasn't won. It's the longest he's gone without a win in like 15 months or something like that, right? I think Scotty. I would take Scotty over Rory. He's going to be my first pick.
Uh, I can't disagree with you. If I had the number 1 pick, I think I would give Scotty still the slight edge between the 2. Now, narratively, there are 2 things that I think are working against them in the sense that if they were to win the 2025 Masters, they would be accomplishing something that has rarely ever been done before in history. If Scotty won the Masters this year, he would become the only other player outside of Jack Nicklaus to win 3 Masters in 4 years. I mean, that is incredibly hard. Tiger's never done that. Okay. I mean, Jack Nicklaus, probably the most accomplished golfer of all time outside of Tiger Woods, is the only player in the history of professional golf that has ever won 3 in 4 years. Um, you have a lot of commitments as a defending champion. In fact, like historically, players who won the Masters in the last year, often they can struggle in their follow-up year. They've got more commitments. They've got more media to do. They're hosting the Champions Dinner. They've got a little bit more on their plate this week, right? The weight of expectations. Now, Rory, there are a million other caveats that you could put on what it would be like if Rory were to win the Masters for the first time. He'd be breaking a 10 plus year major drought. He'd be getting the career Grand Slam. Another thing, then what? 10 to 12 golfers. Less than that. I think it's like 8 in history. I can fact check that later in the draft. But point being, there's not a lot of players that have won the career Grand Slam, and Augusta has always been Rory's white whale. So there are some things that are working against them in the sense where it would be very rare for either of them to accomplish what they are trying to accomplish on winning the Masters. And yet, Kenny, if I were to run a model on the Masters, which I have not done yet, based on the way they're playing, I'd be fairly shocked if they weren't 1 or 2 right now from a statistical standpoint.
Mhm.
And the thing that I will say about Rory McIlroy, again, I haven't run the numbers yet, and if I were to make a guess, I probably am still going to have Scotty a little bit ahead of Rory because Scotty is such a overall more consistent approach player with his middle to long irons. But like in theory, Kenny, Augusta National, forget the history, forget the narratives, just in terms of pure skill profiles. Augusta National is every bit as much a Rory McIlroy course as it is a Scotty course. In fact, you generally want to play Scotty Scheffler at golf courses that test accuracy more off the tee, and Rory McIlroy at golf courses that test distance more off the tee. Augusta National tests distance more than it tests accuracy, straight up. I mean, it's better to be long than it is mega straight at Augusta National. And so I think Rory has that going for him in his favor from a pure skill set standpoint. And as you mentioned, we are seeing a more complete and evolved version of Rory McIlroy. Like if you look at his 2 victories, the amount of strokes gained that he has gained with his irons, his driver, and his
His putter.
putter, it's all pretty equal. I mean, he's not a one-trick pony right now. He's actually gained less off the tee in his 2 victories than he has on approach and putting. And I'm going to tell you right now, Kenny, I think that Rory McIlroy's iron play is the single most important thing to watch at Augusta National this year because I think that it has the highest upside slash tail, right? There's a bigger delta in what Rory can do with his irons than almost any other skill for him in the bag, right? I mean, he could be a below field average approach player and he could go out and lead the field in approach play any single week. And right now, like this is some of the best, most evolved approach play I've seen from Rory in quite some time. So I don't think I'm going to bet him at plus 650. I mean, are you considering betting any of these? He's my second overall pick, I should mention, by the way. Super long-winded way of getting to him being my second pick. But would you bet either of these guys outright as a single bullet?
Scheffler would be the one I would go to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
But because like you said, there's so many variables. It is, the Masters. You made some good points. I think the big thing about Rory lately has been his putter. Like it's been so good for a very extended amount of time now. I think he's gained
Mhm.
strokes putting in 12 or 13 events,
Yep.
or something like that. And that's a big advantage that he has over Scotty. But still, just the way Scotty seems like mentally, it would be easier for him to get over the hump to get this because I mean, all the baggage that Rory has. I mean, we still see him miss 3 4 footers pretty, they're noticeable. They happen, ever since the U.S. Open, and we'll see how it gets down to it if it comes down to those type of putts. If Rory really has the mental fortitude to get past all the demons, that's the toughest thing. If Rory didn't have the demons and say he won a major like last year or something like that, it might be easier to pull the trigger on a 7-1 for him.
Okay, I'm going to give you my next pick. I'm going to take Rom. And I'm checking off. I'm getting one of my live players in, so I'm checking that box. By the way, you checked the box already of getting your former champion in, so you've crossed that off the list. You could talk me into Morikawa, Obear, Bryson, Xander in this spot, and the odds board pretty much reflects that, right? It's basically Ludwig, Morikawa, Rahm, Bryson, Xander, all between 14 and 22 to 1. I think right now I'm probably leaning Rom the most out of that group, but I am really curious to actually watch him this week in Doral. Um, I haven't watched a ton of Live this year. Have you, Kenny? I mean, have you been
No,
dialed in to Live this year? Yeah, me neither.
no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. But listen, I'm gonna go with Rom. I'm getting one of my Live guys off the board, and I still think when I run the numbers, I would be shocked if he is anything worse than having the 3rd, 4th, or 5th win probability in this field. And I still think I can get one of the other guys of this group that I'm looking for on the come around. So I'm going Rom number 3. You have back-to-back picks at 4 and 5.
I mean, it's for me, it's going to be Oberg and Xander.
Yeah.
For it's going to be those two. Now, it's funny if I was betting, I would probably take Xander over Oberg because 18-1 number that's out for Xander right now, and I think Oberg's like 14-1, 12-1 in most books. I think Xander's being a little bit disrespected because of how he started the season, because of the injury, and we sort of seen Xander improve. He had that really good approach outing the last time. Now he's getting a little bit of a break. I think Xander could come out here and shock some people. Really, I really do. I think I mean the 18-1, if it's still there by the time the I start betting for the Masters, it's something that I'm going to think about very, very hard. He might be the lowest guy I roster, the lowest odds guy I bet on. And I'm leaning towards Xander. Now, Oberg, everyone knows Oberg. He had a really good finish last year. This course is made for him. I don't think we really have to explain why he would be my second pick. Pretty easy why. But I really like Xander. And I think he might be overlooked. And I think you can get him at an 18-1 type of number. I think that would be a good bet to start off your card with, really. I've seen him. He had the injury. He's gotten better. He's knocked the rust off. You saw his iron play was above elite the last time he was out. It was like the most strokes he's gained with his
Yep.
irons in like an event like ever in his career. Right? I mean, like I think I like that number a lot. I really like Xander. So I'll go Oberg and Xander as my next. So I haven't no debutantes, no live guys yet, but they're coming.
Yeah, Xander 11 strokes, by the way, on approach at the Valspar, and also 22-1 I'm seeing on Caesars,
Oh,
Kenny.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 22-1 on Caesars, and I gotta be honest with you, I listen, 22-1's a great number. I don't have any problem with anyone locking that in now. I could see some drift. Like, I don't know what the okay, so after we get past Rory and Scotty, and I got to say, I do think that a lot of people, once we get into crunch time for the Masters, particularly the casuals, are going to throw up their hands and say, give me one of those two guys I'm single balding. But in terms of the second tier, right? And you know how our community works, Kenny. Most people don't like to single bullet, especially if you're getting the single bullet under that 7-1 kind of sustainability metric that a lot of bettors in our community use, right? Where unless you're betting a guy at 7-1 or above single bullet, it's not the most sustainable way to build an outright betting card. Okay. I don't know of the next group of Xander, Colin, Rom, Bryson, Ludwig, who emerges as the most popular. And I do think one or two of those guys is going to drift. I will give you my two picks here, and that's Colin Morikawa and Joaquin Niemann. Okay. I think Morikawa, this is the right spot to draft him. Okay. I, I don't know if he's the third most likely player to win the Masters, but I don't think he's any worse than the sixth. Okay. Am I concerned about the fact that he hasn't won a golf tournament in over 500 days? Absolutely. Am I concerned about the fact that he contended in a significant way at the Masters last year? It's hard to do that 2 years in a row. Absolutely. Am I concerned about the fact that he hasn't played since the Players? I don't know why he withdrew from the Valero this week. There's a lot of data that suggests that you want to play the week before the Masters, or you want to play at least 2 weeks before the Masters. And players that take a month off before the Masters and don't get those competitive reps can be at times at a disadvantage. I don't think you should cross him off for any of these things, but they're all concerns. With all of that being said, I think that this is some of the most complete golf that Colin has ever played in his career. It's really interesting where, it's almost like the inverse of what you're saying with Rory, or they're very similar in the sense that I think that this is the most evolved golf that Colin has played in his career, where he's actually more evolved and well-rounded as a golfer right now than he was when he won his 2 majors. And this might be his highest floor that he's ever possessed, but obviously the trophies haven't come. And I think the trophies are coming, but they haven't come, and it's a fair concern. And then with Joaquin Niemann, and you could talk me into Bryson here. The odds still believe that Bryson is more likely to win the Masters than Niemann. I'm still a little dubious about Bryson's course fit at Augusta National. And we saw him start to really struggle down the stretch when it got a little bit firmer and windier with some of the short game shots around the green. I think Niemann's playing way better golf on live, whatever that means. And I think that I'm getting the 2 best live players on the board. I mean, it's not like you don't have good options with Brooks and Bryson, but if you're telling me right now, am I taking Rahm and Niemann or Brooks or Bryson? I think I'm probably taking Rahm and Niemann. So give me Morikawa and Niemann as my next 2 picks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with my live guy. I like your take on Bryson. I want to use him, but I would rather have Kepka just because
Yeah.
Kepka's Kepka. He's the guy who comes in and majors, and this is what he plays for, right? This is what he does. I mean, I don't really even look at form. You want to see something out of him before he gets out there. But I mean, to me, he's still Kepka. He's still a guy who can go out there when it comes to major season. He's gonna flip that switch and go on and do his thing, and I don't doubt him on that. So I'll go ahead and take him, and I'm gonna go a little bit off the board for my next one. I'm gonna go with my favorite debutante.
Okay.
I don't want him off the board because I really like this guy. I like Pendrith.
Yeah.
I
I
like
think I
Pendrith.
think you either got to go Rye, Pendrith, McNeely, or Dietrich here. And I
Or
got to be
Dietrich.
honest,
It was Dietrich or Pendrith for me.
Pendrith was the one I wanted.
Yeah,
Good pick.
Penrith is the one I want. The guy can give it a mash out there. We saw him last week in contention playing with Scotty or playing with Rory, I think. I forget who he was playing with in the final round, but it was either Scotty or Rory. And he was going head to head, toe to toe with these guys. He's got his win under his belt. He can give it a good poke out there. His iron game's above average. I like the way he's playing currently. So I'll go Pendrith as my debutante pick.
Okay, so Pendrith off the board as a debutante, which means I could most likely probably wait on Aaron Rye or Matt McNeely because I don't think that you're going to draft either of those 2.
Mhm.
I'm gonna knock off my former champion here. Um, I'm gonna take Hideki. I gotta be
Mm.
honest, I thought about Spieth. I actually like Spieth a lot at the Valero. I do like what I'm finally starting to see with his approach play. I'm still telling you right now, I think Hideki is a safer bet to win the 2025 Masters than Jordan Spieth is right now. Hideki's played some phenomenal golf this year. Okay. And I know the iron play has started to regress a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But the other thing about Hideki that I think people fail to realize, there's 2 things that have emerged with Hideki this year. Number one, and he's always been like this, but his short game is really mega elite right now. Okay. This is some of the best around the green numbers that we've seen out of Hideki in his entire career over a pretty large sample size. Number 2, this is one of the best putting seasons of Hideki Matsuyama's career. Okay. He's still, don't get me wrong, he's still always a possibility to putt himself out of any tournament. But those like spike performances from Hideki on the greens, you used to get those spike performances, I don't know, once a year, once every other year. It feels like Hideki's ability to gain 5 strokes putting on a given week has increased significantly over the last 12 to 14 months. And that's why you see him win at a higher rate than probably anyone else over the last 12 months in that 20 to 35 range of the odds board. So give me Hideki. He's 28 to 1 is the best price on him right now. And that's going to check my former champion box. And then I'm probably going to go with JT. Where are you at on JT these days?
He would have been my next regular play. I mean, the thing is, like, it looks like he's almost there, right? I mean, the big thing for me, what I've been saying about JT, and he sort of proved me wrong a couple weeks ago. I forget at the Valero,
Valspar.
where Valspar, where he contended. I thought the way he's been playing, it's been very good, but he's been making like that one or two mistakes around, an event where it just takes him out of the event. And he's been playing a lot of difficult courses. And my take on JT was the next time we see him at a 20 under course, I think he wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. But then he sort of proved me wrong. At the Valspar with a tough course, and he was out there, and he should have won the event. So to me, it seems like everything is rounding into shape for him to get a win. Now, a major win, I don't know. I don't know. But a win very soon, Himakawa. I mean, it should happen, right? I mean, that's what it looks like just watching both of these guys play when they do. It looks like they're very, very close, both of them.
Agreed. It certainly feels like those are two like the most due player on the odds board right now. The question is, do they break the drought at the freaking Masters? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so your next two picks.
What is this? This is pick 6 and 7 for me.
Pick 6 and 7 for you.
Oh man, I think I. Hmm. I mean, I think I have to go. I mean, Bryson's still there.
Bryson's still there, and you need live guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have Kepka,
You have
so
Kepka, you're
I
right.
have
You only
Kepka.
need one more. You only need
Yeah,
one more live
and,
guy.
and and there's I'm probably ruining the draft here, but I like a lot of like live guys towards the bottom, coming up. So my camera's moving because all of my notes are on my phone. So apologies about that. All right, let's go Bryson. I'm just gonna go Bryson as a sixth pick. It just seems like value to
Yeah.
me because you know that he can go out there and succeed. He's at least had a top finish. Did he finish top 10 here
Yeah.
recently in the last
He fi
couple of years? So I
finished
mean,
he finished
yeah.
top 10, or he was at least I don't know where he finished on the actual leaderboard, but he was, like,
Mhm.
heavily involved in the last Masters.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll go him. Because it seems like value, and I'll knock my old guy off the board here, and I'm going Sergio. I gotta go Sergio with the elder statesman. We've seen him playing really, really good golf. I think didn't he get into the Open Championship? I think recently.
He missed a 3-foot putt to get into the Open
That's what
Championship.
it was. That's right. Yeah.
Patrick Reed got in, though.
Yeah, Patrick Reed, hey, that's another on my list. I'll tell you right there. But yeah, I'll go with Sergio. It seems like he's playing very good golf. He's got the Ryder Cup on the back of his mind this year. A good showing at the Masters, which is of course, he loves. Of course, he's won the Masters that I went to. I saw him and Justin Rose duke it down the stretch. It was pretty fucking amazing seeing them. So I'll go Sergio as my old guy.
Okay, so this now means that I could wait on my old.
Mhm.
Um, okay. All right. I'm gonna pick Tommy Fleetwood. I think that Tommy Fleetwood is in some of the best form of his career. He's gained over 2 strokes on approach in 9 of his last 10 starts. Tommy Fleetwood hasn't finished outside of the top 25 in a golf tournament in almost 6 months. The guy has like 8 top 25 finishes in a row, and I think that you could pencil him in at this point as one of the highest floored players in the field based on his approach play. Do I think that Tommy Fleetwood, Freudian slip there, is going to get off the schneid with his first PGA Tour win at the frickin' Masters? Unlikely. But if we are playing for total money earned here, which that's probably what we should do here, right? To give us the best representation of our total roster. I think that when it's all said and done with my Masters, I'm probably going to have Tommy Fleetwood as one of the 5 to 7 highest top 10 likelihoods in this field. And so I feel like I'm getting decent value in this spot. And then I'm going to go with the only bet that I've made, Kenny. I bet him at 40 to 1. And I got to be honest, I don't think I've acquired any CLV on this bet because you can still find him 40 to 1 at the same book that I bet him in December. Patrick Cantlay. And I got to tell you, Kenny, I think this week at Valero is a low-key big one for Cantlay because I really like the way that he's playing. Okay. I was on him at the Players Championship. The approach play with Cantlay is finally starting to come around. He's gained over 3 strokes on approach in 3 of his last 4 tournaments now. He's finally starting to hit his irons very well again for the first time in months. My big problem with Patrick Cantlay is that I need reps in the heat of the battle. Okay. The last time that Patrick Cantlay hit a meaningful golf shot in contention on Sunday was the 2024 US Open at Pinehurst. Okay. And so I need to see him sniff it. I need to see how his game reacts to competitive shots of high leverage down the stretch on Sunday. So I have very high hopes for Patrick Cantlay this week at the Valero. And I absolutely do believe that if he contends at the Valero, or at least continues to show that approach form that we've been seeing, I actually do believe that he's live at Augusta.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Cantlay this week at the Valero. Like, I think he
Me
makes
too.
I think he makes a great DFS play. Personally, so yeah, I'm a big fan of his, and I like that play. He probably would have been my next up if it came down to. Did you? So you went Cantlay, and who was the other one?
So I went Cantlay and Fleetwood, which takes me to 8. And I can tell you right now, I have 2 guys left for my spots, and it's going to be my old, and it's going to be my debutante. And I know
Okay.
pretty much where I'm going with that. You,
I think
you're good.
I'm
You're
good.
good. You're in wild card territory, my
Yeah,
friend. You could go anywhere.
I mean, there's so many options here. Like, I really like Patrick Reed. I really like Min Woo. Yeah, I think after the win, I think it would be good. But I think for this pick, I'm going Corey Connors. Yeah, the form is just so good, and we've seen him play Augusta very well for a guy who doesn't really seem like a guy who should play well at Augusta. If you know what I mean, like you don't consider him like a super bomber
Nope.
out there. He sort of plods his way around, but he's done a great job at Augusta, coming in with 3 straight top tens. Maybe another top 10 this week. Hopefully a win because I'm going to bet him. This week at the Valero, I took the 3 places and I think I got 25 to 1 for him at the Valero, which with 3 places, I think it's a pretty good number. So I'm going to go him, and then I'm going to go Jordan with the ninth.
I like it.
Yeah, ninth pick. You go Spieth. You've seen some glimmers, in the last few months of his game being really good. He's still all over the place, but the one place that he could definitely play is Augusta. It seems like it's a home game for him. I think it's a nice pick at number 9.
Yeah, no qualms from me there, particularly with the Spieth pick. Let me ask you this question. Can Spieth Is Spieth the highest leverage player at the Valero this week? Like, is there any player that can increase their narrative or their odds more than
No.
Jordan Spieth this week at the Valero? Because I got to tell you, Kenny, if Spieth wins the Valero
Well,
or
under
even
20 to 1,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
20 to 1 at the Masters.
I think so. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so. So again, like if you're bullish on Spieth at the Masters, like you must bet him twice. Like you must bet the 35 now and bet him at the Valero too.
Mhm.
And hopefully if he wins this week, then you have massive CLV on your bet for next week. Okay. So my last 2 picks, debutante and old. I'm going to go with Aaron Rye as the debutante. You could sell me on Thomas Dietrich. You could sell me on Matt McNeely. Thomas Dietrich hits the ball a lot farther than Aaron Rye, but I still believe with Aaron Rye that his long iron play is such a massive, massive advantage, even on driver heavy distance bias golf courses. Like he's played so well at a place like the Mexico Open, right? Where he gained 9 strokes in approach, which is such a bomber friendly golf course. And Aaron Rye goes out and top tens that place every year, despite ranking outside the top 100 in carry distance, because he can just gain 9 strokes in approach with his long irons. And his ability to hit a 5 and a 6 iron better than longer players' ability to hit a 7 and an 8 iron remains pretty unparalleled. I think his long iron play is going to be a tremendous fit at Augusta. And then number 10 for old. Okay. I basically narrowed it down to Adam Scott and Dustin Johnson. Okay. And I think I'm going to go with DJ here. And I'll tell you why. I'm good on Adam Scott, man. I've been trying to make this Adam Scott thing happen for years, and I just think that you could lock yourself into a T34 finish. Okay. Adam Scott, is he more likely to make the cut than Dustin Johnson this week? Absolutely. Okay. Is he probably more likely to finish like T17 than Dustin Johnson this week? Absolutely. Does Dustin Johnson have DFL potential? Absolutely. But I still believe that there is a universe where Dustin Johnson is going to give us one more major run. And when I say one more major run, I say you're going to turn on your televisions on like Sunday morning, and Dustin Johnson's going to be hitting relevant golf shots to win a major championship. Do I think he's going to win another major championship in his early 40s? Probably not. And he's probably done it too. But do I think that he's going to make one more run, like one more time when we're like, holy shit, DJ is T3 with like, 9 holes left to go on Sunday. I think he has one more in him. And Masters a great golf course for him. So I'm going to go with the upside on DJ a little bit more than Adam Scott. I just think DJ is a little bit more likely to contend than Adam Scott, even though Adam Scott's safer.
The worry I have with Adam Scott is it seems like, the whole Rory Cantlay, when they get into like the PGA behind the scenes
Yeah, he's got a lot of cooks in the
discussions.
kitchen right now off the course for Adam Scott.
Yeah, it seems like golfers like that who had so much to do, off the course when it comes to this, whatever, piff, live, conjuring up.
Merger. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's sort of taken away from their golf. We've seen it with Rory. We've seen it with Cantlay. We've seen it with Adam Scott. Now, I DJ is my favorite player. He's been my favorite player for like the last 15, 20 years. Like I changed my swing in 2013 to hit a nice little baby draw off the tee. And of course, the following year, he switches his swing to hit the baby cut. And it just fucked my whole game up for like 8, 9 years. But anyway, I still, I'm still hitting the draw now. I can't go back to the slice because I don't remember how to do it. I don't remember how to do it. So I love DJ. He's my favorite golfer. I want to see him succeed at least one more time. And I will tell you the one thing I did notice because he was on like featured groups like in every major last year, right?
Yeah.
He's still has that popularity to do that. And like you saw glimpses of him like actually really caring,
Yep.
like muttering under his breath,
Yep.
like being angry,
I mean, the
like
live the live guys will tell you he's the hardest working man on live. He's on the range. He's the last man on the range. So who
I mean,
knows?
I don't. Is that a joke? I don't know. Is that
I,
for real?
they seem to feel pretty strongly about it, and
Mhm.
that's one of those things where I'm just like I'm gonna pick I'm gonna let you have that one, and
Yeah.
sure, like I'm not gonna sit here and discredit that.
Because it doesn't
Sure.
look like he's trying very hard over there. It doesn't look like he's trying very hard over on Live. He's taking his money. You see a lot of Instagram photos on his boat and shit. And good for him. If I had $500 million, I would be on a boat all the time too.
I
Okay.
know.
But I think he still cares about the majors. Now, the thing is, like, can he prep for it in time? Can he put the effort in? I don't know, but I really hope so because I do want to see one more run from DJ because he has been my favorite player for like the last 15 years. Now, for my final pick, I mean, I like Patrick Reed a lot. You know, he's been
Mhm.
playing well. Min Woo looks, he got that win. He got the length. He's got the short game. But it's going to come down to two lefties for me. Um, it's going to come down to Batia or Bobby Mack for my last.
Ooh, so can I just say, because people are going to get on us for this,
Mhm.
no consideration of Victor Hovland, no consideration of Will Zalatoris,
Mhm.
no consideration of Tyrrell Hatton for you.
Hatton, yes. Zal, maybe. Hovland, I can't trust as far as I can throw. I mean,
Yeah.
even the win he had gave me like less confidence in him, if that's possible. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
do know what you mean.
it gave, like the way, like after his press conference again, he was like, "I was just guessing out there. I didn't know where the ball's going." I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't understand. You just won a golf tournament, and you're like, I have zero confidence in my game still. I was just missing the shots in the right place. Basically, he was saying it was basically luck that he won, right? The event. I've never ever seen that in a golfer that has won an event. Maybe like, oh, my game was off like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, but I slowly started getting it back, and it really came through to at this event that I won. That's not what happened. Did. He was like, I'm stuck. I've been playing. I've been sucking. I sucked this week. I just got lucky.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. I can't do it. Willie Z. I need him to contend. I need him to not have blow-ups. Like it seems like he's in contention. He's up there, and then like the last five holes on Saturday. I think he's like 16 over on his last two events on the last five holes on Saturday. I can't like I want to, but I like the young boys, and
Yeah.
I like the lefties. I like Mac has already shown that he could play well at this event, but I'm going with the form. I'm going
Okay.
Bhatia. I'm going Bhatia with my last pick. Lefty. He's got the form coming in. I think it's three top tens in his last four events or something like that. Hopefully, maybe another one this week. At the Valero, he's coming into it with a lot of confidence. Second at the Players, which is another big, big, big boy event.
Yep.
And he played pretty fucking well that whole entire week. Give me Batia as my final pick. I gotta have one lefty.
To recap our rosters, Kenny, you finished with Scheffler, Ludwig, Xander, Brooks, Pendrith, Bryson, Sergio, Corey Connors, Spieth, Bhatia. I finished with Rory, Rahm, Morikawa, Neiman, Hideki, JT, Fleetwood, Cantlay, Rye, DJ. I'll tweet. I'll have my team make graphics too, so we could tweet
I
them
I,
out and
I
let
think
people decide.
I think your team has a safer floor.
You're
I
probably
think.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. Um,
Hmm.
I still think a lot of people are gonna look at a lot of guys on my team as question marks though. Okay. Colin Morikawa, detractors at this
Yeah,
point.
but honestly, he's been the third best player in the last
I
12
I,
months.
I
He just
agree with
hasn't. He
you.
hasn't won. That's the only
Walk
thing missing.
I
He's
agree
been
with
the
you.
third best player
Yep, yep.
in the world.
Joaquin Neiman, you will be told, has a full-fledged smear campaign launched against him at this point.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, Justin Thomas, Tommy Fleetwood, Patrick Cantlay, they're kind of in their own tier. As I'm just going to need to see it from you guys, despite the baseline being pretty high. So, anyway, this is a blast, man. I know you have another podcast to get to. I have another podcast to get to. But before we get out of here, my friend, what do you got going on for the next 10 days? What's the master schedule look like? People are wanting more Kenny Kim over the next 10 days. Where can they find you?
I mean, the only thing I have booked right now is my show. It'll be on Monday, next Monday, the Fantasy Golf Degenerates. It'll be on. Probably be a nice 2 hour show. We'll go over everything on that, and then nothing else lined up. I'm sure somebody will call me. I'm sure I'll be on
Yeah.
something. Check my X feed. Go to at Kendo VT. You'll see it all. I'm supposed to be on the Steffi Small show
Hell yeah.
the week after the Masters.
Hell
But
yeah.
but but nothing for Masters Week yet. I'm sure I'll be on something.
I loved your performance on Dan on golf. It made
Yeah,
me smile. In
it
fact,
was.
like I always try and get you on at least once a year, and
Yeah, yeah.
you like jumped up in my priority rankings after saying that. I was like, I actually want to talk to Kenny right now. Actually,
Dan, I like Dan. I know Dan gets a bad rap.
he gets a lot of shit. I
He
actually,
gets
to
a
be
lot
honest
of
with you,
shit. I like him.
I actually think like disliking Dan Rappaport is like monoculture right now.
Yeah.
Like it's
But
actually gotten to the point where it's like one of the only thing somebody tweeted this out and I was like, somebody tweeted this out. What's the two things that golf fans unanimously agree on? Slow play and hating Dan Rappaport. And
Rappaport
I
and
was like,
Brandel
woof.
and
Yeah,
Brandel and Brandel was on that same show that I was
right.
on.
Right. And I was like,
And
woof. Like
I like both those guys. I met Brandel. I sat down and had a drink with Brandel once.
me
Really,
too.
really nice guy. I
Yeah.
like him a lot. Like he comes across. His points might not agree with all of my points, but that's cool. That's you know what I'm saying. Like I
No, it
got no
should be.
problem with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Kenny. This was a blast as always, my friend. I look forward to hearing you on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates this week and next. And thanks for doing this with me, buddy.
Yeah, man. Glad you had me on. Really, really happy for your success, and I'm looking forward for more out of ISN.
Awesome. Appreciate it, buddy.